In this video, we will tell you about complex interdependence theory in international relations. Enjoy the movie, guys!
Global governance,
economy and social welfare,
complex interdependence.
After the events of the Cold War, the world underwent great transformations. The agenda of national security and traditional military power were now dominated by the actors' quest to pursue a stable and peaceful global order, conducive to their economic development. Comes the theory of complex interdependence, created by Cohen and Nye on the 1970s, which considers the emergence of transnational actors vis-a-vis with the state. Dependence itself is a state of being determined or significantly affected by external forces. This also leads to mutual dependence, which in international relations is characterized by reciprocal effects of transaction among state actors and also non-state actors. These transactions are usually based on two things, which are cooperation and also competition, meaning that actors will cooperate with each other to compete with each other in pursuing their economic development. Interdependence is a key concept of political liberalism, which is one of the main theories of international relations. This wraps up around the notion of a globalizing world, meaning that globalization plays a big role in complex interdependence. Interdependence in this case is the mutual connectiveness and dependency of state actors and also non-state actors. To better understand about complex interdependence, we took the example of an international system where there are actors, but not only state actors, there are also non-state actors. For example, there are state actors like America, United States of America, France, Indonesia, and also China. But there are also non-state actors, for example, NGOs and multinational companies. Now, to better understand complex interdependence, these actors, these state actors and also non-state actors are all interconnected with each other through trade, finance, travel, and also communication, thus creating an international network to connect with each other.
In the past, everything wasn't as easy as right now. Why? Because if we need something, we must get it, but we must sacrifice the other thing as well. For example, if we need the water, we must walking such a long journey just to get the source of water, such as the well. It means this case can be connected to zero-sum game concept. But the world keeps changing thanks to technological development, rapid development of sciences, and because of other factors too. Many nations in this world have started together and working together to achieve what they didn't have in their respective countries. For instance, Saudi Arabia is working together with other countries that have better technologies to gaining more clean water than it used to be. It means everything didn't exactly used to be like it was, where if we need something, we must sacrificing the other things too. So this case can be connected to positive sum game concept.
In international politics, there's this thing called multiple channels. Multiple channels connect the societies, whether it's interstate, transgovernmental, or even transnational. In this world of complex interdependence, interactions don't happen between governmental elites only. Interactions can also happen in a form of informal ties between transnational organizations and non-governmental elites. In economic, multi-channel allows more target market to be reached, giving them higher revenues and more stability. Multi-channels are also much more complex to manage, and they suffer from internal conflicts between its channels. An example of this is when tsunami strikes Japan. Japanese people who got affected by the tsunami really needs help and aid from others. And you know who are one of the first teams to send their aids to these refugees, to these people? The Yakuza. Yakuza being one of the most ferocious, one of the evil-hearted crime organization in Japan, send their aid to help the people in need. Why Yakuza did this? It's a question. But we know that Yakuza didn't do this just because they want to be good to people. They also want attention, and they also have, of course, their hidden agendas. By sending aids to the people in need, Yakuza increased their reputation, and the people of Japan will view them as a crime organization, but also have their own kind-hearted nature. So when Japanese government, the government officials need to rebuild the area of inflicted by tsunami, Yakuza can help them. Yakuza can gain more reputation, and then they will be able to get the contract from the Japanese government to rebuild. And of course, getting a contract to build a devastated city, devastated by the tsunami, can gain you a lot of money, a lot of multi-billion, trillion yens of money, so that Yakuza can thrive and survive from that money.
Comparative advantage is an economic law referring to any given actor to produce good produces and good services in a very low cost by other countries. For examples, you see, when you went to the mall, you saw the big brands such as Nike, Adidas, and H&M. Why they can make such a good products with a very cheap prices? They went and making a big industry in the third world countries, such as India, Bangkok, and many else. Why they choose the third world countries? It's because they can give a low salary, a cheap products, and many else. One of the examples that I feel right in my eyes and right in my soul is when I saw that happening in my country, and it's happening in Batam Island. You see, in Batam Island, there are a lot of companies from Singapore. So why they have to build their companies in Batam Island when they can make it in their own countries? It's because one of the costs is, in Singapore, it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for a salary. But in Batam Islands, it's only take $350 for a month's salary, which means it's only 3.5 rupiah. That means it's a very low cost. That's why they choose Batam Islands, because they're very low cost and for the comparative advantage.
What is high politics? When we see ambassadors talking about the issue of the use of chemical weapons in the Syrian civil war, when we look at presidents delivering their speeches about their country's interest in national security, we are seeing issues of high politics. High politics concerns issues such as security, defense, military affairs, and war. It's the antithesis of low politics, which is not really concerned with issues like military affairs and more concerned with things such as agriculture, economics, and trade. It is more inward rather than outward, which we can see in the examples of high political issues. The examples of high political issues are the issue of Cold War. Cold War occurred after the World War II. Several years after that war, the United States and Soviet Union competed to deliver and to spread their influence among nations in the world. That's an issue of security. And more, we can look at issues such as nuclear proliferation. We know that nations, a lot of nations, about 12 countries now own nuclear weapons, and that posed a big defense and security issues to a lot of their neighbors. For example, the issue of India and Pakistan having nuclear weapons can amount to a war in the next decades if they cannot be controlled. Law politics concerns matters such as economics and trade. And nowadays, law politics is superseding high politics as the main concern of states. We look at the African continent. In several countries in that continent, economics must be the attention of governments in several countries such as Chad and Nigeria. When you cannot feed your people are going to be more susceptible, more vulnerable to extremism and terrorist groups. Terrorist groups can give food to these hungry people, and these hungry people will do anything that these terrorist groups want as an act of gratitude for the foods that they have given to them. That's why low politics has superseded high politics in some manners in several regions of the world.
These days, social welfare is one of the most important things in our society. We can say that social welfare is the current high politics in global governance. But what exactly social welfare is? Social welfare is the well-being of the entire society. But it's not the same with their standard of living, but it's more concerned with the quality of life. That includes factors such as the quality of environment, level of crime, extent of abuse, of drug abuse, and as well as the spiritual and religious aspects in life. One of social welfare aspects that will be discussed here is human security. Human security is the convergence of high politics and low politics issues. The dimensions of low politics are the non-military issues such as human rights, food security, and the quality of life, while the dimensions of high politics are issues, for example, when the three aspects above cannot be fulfilled, then the possibility of threat of a country's stability and security is getting higher. And in the international dimensions, it can reach stage of disturbing balance of power.
So, summing everything up, complex interdependence theory is literally complex. It encompasses many actors as possible. Actors like NGOs, MNCs, and epistemic communities, etc. They are interact with each other through multiple channels. This leads into the non-hierarchical relationship among actors, which interact into network. And all of these interactions render military power obsolete. Why? Because of all of these interactions link each actor in reciprocal exchange, like relation. If you break the chain down, you will get the more problem rather than strategic advantages. In the past, we used to live in a world of zero-sum game. When we want to get something, we hard deprive others from getting it. The bigger the pie we had, the smaller portions other people would receive. But now, as technology develops, we enter the era of positive sum game. It is in our best interest that other people can be better off as many states as possible. Imagine 7 billion people contribute their scientific finding in order to cure cancer instead of just one. Which one will have better odds to succeed?